I want to talk to you about how to start a freight brokerage this year. So this is actually a broker startup guide, a freight broker startup guide. So here are the facts I want you to really think about. Basically, although many shippers have contracts with, let's say, trucking companies, cargo van companies, sprinter van companies, box truck companies to transport their goods, a significant amount of truck transport, or let's just say a cargo van transport in North America, is handled by freight brokers. So a freight broker basically is an intermediary between a shipper who has goods to transport and a carrier who has capacity to move that freight. Really, really straightforward, okay? And so I want to share with you a few steps that you will need if you want to successfully launch your freight broker business this year. Now, one thing for sure, when you think about freight and shipping in the US alone is an almost $1 trillion industry. Think about it, $1 trillion industry. And a freight broker plays a key role in managing the millions of loads transported every single year. And freight brokers help connect truckers and delivery drivers in general to consistent work while assisting shippers in securing the most cost effective means of transporting their goods to their intended destinations. Okay. And as demand for carriers grows and the logistics industry becomes more sophisticated, there is actually a real opportunity to carve out a profitable career as a successful freight broker this year. So, if you have a passion, let's say if you have a passion for logistics, a knack for solving problems, and a good mix of people, practical, and organizational skills, then freight brokering could be the right industry for you, especially if you are pretty nimble in terms of interpersonal skills. Okay. And so, what does a freight broker do? Well, a freight broker's responsibility include monitoring carrier capacity, matching shippers and carriers, vetting and onboarding carriers, monitoring courier compliance and licensing, and managing the logistics of shipping and receiving. So the difference between a freight broker and a freight agent is pretty simple. So a freight broker has their own broker authority, is licensed and insured, and can legally arrange the movement of freight. A freight agent can coordinate freight movement only under the operating authority of a broker. And whereas freight brokers earn a salary plus commission, freight agents typically work on commission only based on the dollar value of freight contracts they negotiate for brokers. Okay. Now, how does a freight broker really make money? Let's talk about that. Well, freight, freight brokerage is the business of connecting shippers and carriers, right? So when a company has a load they need to move, they often post that freight job to a load board, which is where carriers and others can search for, bid on, and accept loads. So a freight broker makes money by assisting in load matching, helping the shipper find the right carrier at the right place. So because shippers generally save money by reaching out to the marketplace for competitive rates, and carriers earn more money and spend more time on the road by relying on brokers to post loads, the entire process is more efficient and actually cost effective. Okay, so average freight broker salary last year was about $80,000. By the way, when I talk about $80,000, you also have bonuses and other commissions. Okay, and the money can go all the way to $160,000. So let me talk to you about the process here. How do you start a freight brokerage this year? First thing, you want to set up and register your business. Very important. You want to select a legal structure for your business, right? You want to decide if you want to be a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a partnership, or other options. You want to speak with an attorney or accountant to discuss the pros and cons of each option, or just let us know in the comment section, and we'll certainly let you know which one is good, which option is good for you, depending on your geography and in the niche that you want to go into. So, number one, you want to select a legal structure for your business. Number two, you want to apply for operating authority. So, freight brokers involved in interstate commerce must apply for broker authority from the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, using the Unified Registration System. And the FMCSA is actually the division of the U.S. Department of Transportation that regulates interstate commerce and enforces safety rules. There is actually an application processing fee, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks for processing. That's really good. So a freight broker registering for the first time must do so through the FMCSA Unified Registration System, to get a motor carrier actually authority. This is a requirement for becoming a licensed freight broker. So each application actually costs about $300, and you can submit both on the same form, but you'll still need to pay a total of $600. If you apply online, submitting form OP1 will get you a grant letter and motor carrier number immediately, and these documents are your notice that a freight broker license application is underway, but they are not an authorization to operate. You must still complete several steps before becoming a freight broker, including getting the required insurance and surety and choosing process agents for each state you plan to operate in. Number three, you want to start with proper training. So while there are no legal requirements for broker training programs, it's important to have a good knowledge of the industry if you want to have a successful business. So prior experience in freight and logistics as a trucker, logistics manager, or a dispatcher is a major asset. If you don't have that background, take freight broker training courses to get a foundational understanding of the industry, and this will help you big time. And many online training classes for freight brokers are self-paced and allow up to 6 months for you to complete your training. And these courses actually educate prospective brokers on transportation types, regulations, record keeping, rate setting, and other aspects of the job. So that's really good. And some training programs may also provide templates for contracts, invoices, and other documents you will need as you form your freight brokerage business. Next, you want to designate a process agent. Very important. Now, what is a process agent? Let's talk about that. A process agent is a representative to whom court papers may be served in a legal proceeding brought against a broker or carrier. And brokers must actually designate a process agent in each state where they maintain an office or establish contracts. So some companies offer a blanket coverage that designates a process agent in every U.S. state. So you want to submit Form BOC3 to the FMCSA. So a freight brokerage business must have a process agent in each state where it operates, okay? And this is kind of important. And also you can act as your own process agent in the states where you live. You can also hire one to work for your company as a salaried employee or use one of the many process agent services available. And these agents actually charge fees for their service. You can arrange for a surety bond or a trust fund. So all freight brokers are required to have a 75,000 surety bond or trust fund. So if a freight broker does not live up to contracts with a shipper or carrier, this bond assures that the broker has the cash or assets to cover the amount. And surety bonds can be obtained from an insurance company, which will file the appropriate paperwork with the FMCSA. So it's one of those things where you are not going to file the paperwork yourself. The insurance company will do everything for you because the government wants to make sure that you are basically getting a surety bond in a legit way. And also, next you want to register your business. Very important. So all brokers, freight forwarders, and carriers must complete the unified carrier registration and pay an annual fee. And the fee varies a little every single year, but generally runs around $60 to $80 a year. So that's actually an added expense that you have to really think about. So now, when I'm speaking about the surety bond or trust fund, I want to quickly talk about that. That you have to really make sure that you actually keep paperwork in your office or like on your phone if you have to prove this, because the government wants to make sure that at all points, at all times, you are covered. So if you are a freight broker, you got to have this sort of extra assurance, extra guarantee, so that your partners, the various partners, know that you are legit. And if something were to happen, you are like you have you have limited exposure. So that's really important. If you want to start a freight brokerage this year, you want to purchase contingent cargo insurance and general liability insurance. Let me explain a little further here. So basically, while the federal government does not require these coverages, most companies will not allow a freight broker to operate on their behalf without contingent cargo and general liability insurance. So this coverage protects your client's physical property and shields you from personal liability if a customer's cargo is lost, damaged, or stolen. And this can happen, every now and then, by the way. So be very careful there. Next, you want to check your state's requirements now. So regardless of you have to really understand that every state has different rules when it comes to a freight brokerage, but also shipping in general, or even logistics for that matter. So be sure to check with your state regarding requirements to establish and operate a business in your state so that you are well covered. And you want to set up your office. So if you want to start a successful freight brokerage this year, you want to set up your office. Now, this can be a home office. Don't get me wrong. You can work from your basement. You can work from you can work from your garage. You can work from whatever you want to work from. This can be a home office, or you can choose a commercial office space. So at a minimum, you will need a phone, fax, and computer. So be sure to budget for recurring costs such as utilities. I'm talking here about heat, electricity, water. You want to also account for phone and internet usages, and insurance and taxes, rent. If this is not a home office, then you have to really plan for a rent, and especially you have to really look at this on an annual basis. Also think about payroll and benefits. If you have employees, like if you start a freight brokerage company and you're by yourself, maybe you still have to account for payroll if you by yourself, because you have to compensate your time too. And then you want to account for subscription fees for load matching, rate benchmarking, and transportation management software. So you want to really look at the technology aspect of running a freight brokerage business, and how things like load bars and TMS software can really help you out. If you are looking for starting a freight brokerage this year, you have to develop a business plan. Okay, you can't just run your business as if this is a random thing. So on the face of it, freight brokering is a relatively simple, right? Contract with company A to organize the shipping of their load, contract with company B to haul the cargo, profit on the difference between what A pays and B charges. But there's a lot more to consider as you develop your freight broker business plan. How will you manage the gap between money going out and money coming in, like your cash inflows and cash outflows? How will you cover your startup costs for equipment, insurance, and licensing? When and how will you repay any business loans? Those are really important. Again, it's all about liquidity, but also it's all about planning. Okay, so if you have worked for a brokerage or in another role in the freight and shipping industry, you might have developed contacts and built networks of shippers and carriers. How will you begin reaching out to them to build your business? Because you have to build your business at some point. It's all about networking, but it's also about business development. Okay, so your business plan should account for all those issues. So you want to set clear targets for growth and revenue and achievable milestones. This will help you big time. You want to also set regular check-in points so you can make sure you are on schedule with your plan. Okay, not only in the short run but also in the long run. So a freight brokerage business plan is actually your GPS, if you will. Okay, and you want to set up financing too. Set up financing. So basically, if you have cash reserves on hand, you may be able to float the cash flow of your new business without help. But not everyone is in that position, and truckers and cargo van drivers and sprinter van drivers and box-truck drivers, let's just say drivers in general, will need to be paid before the shipper has paid you for your services. So getting a line of credit from a bank can help. So with a clear understanding of your first few months of operating costs in place, you can approach financial institutions for a business loan or a line of credit. They may actually secure the funding against your personal assets, or you may need the business plan that I spoke to you a little earlier in order to show your company's viability. So with funding in place, you can start operating your business real fast, your freight brokerage business. What you want to do also is that you want to finalize your broker contracts. So now's when your experience or education comes in handy, big time. So if you took a freight broker training course, you might have gotten document kits that you can now use to carry out your business. You'll need to actually set up and maintain contracts with shipping companies and carriers, and keep track of your shipping records and proof of your qualifications. It's actually great to have a lawyer look over the forms and contract templates you use to make sure that those documents are appropriate for your freight broker company. It's one of those things where you have to really be comfortable. You want to make sure that the documents are not only relevant for your specific freight brokerage, but they're also adaptable to the specific city and states where you're at. Because see, the thing is, we've talked about freight brokerage having some regulatory implications at the federal level, but you also have to account for state regulations, but also city regulations. Like if you are in a city that has a pretty strict regulations around freight brokerage, you better make sure that you abide by the rules and you want to abide by the rules and directives there. So if you want to like when it comes to starting a freight brokerage, you have setting up and registering your business, but then you have to also think about conducting the business itself. Okay, so get training before you get started. Make sure you know the business inside and out. There are a lot of great freight broker training courses available online. That's really good. And so basically, for instance, you can try a freight broker course like a Freight 360. Fantastic. Get broker contracts and paperwork. Now that you are ready to conduct business, freight brokers are actually required to keep records of each transaction. This includes contracts, bill of lading, payables, receivables, carrier qualifications, and more. So the Transportation's Intermediaries Association's new broker course includes a kit with sample contracts that you can use immediately. Next, you want to find shippers. Okay, I mean that's really how you're gonna make money anyway. Find shippers. So contact shippers with who need the services you provide. Next, you want to find carriers. So identify carriers ready and willing to transport freight. This can be actually accomplished using a load board to post your loads or search for trucks. So to get an idea of what this process is like, you can actually search for available trucks and actually on a load board such as that or a truck stop. So the best way to connect loads to trucks is actually with a load board. Online load boards actually give you access to thousands of shippers, trucks, and drivers. You can also use the boards to research cargo rates in the shipping lanes you intend to operate in. Next, you want to set prices. Determine an appropriate rate for each load. So rate benchmarking software can help you see current rates for both the contracts and spot freight markets. And finally, you want to move freight, okay? Pretty straightforward here. So now that you are on your way to a successful freight broker business, you have to really understand that you have to move freight. So now you're licensed, your business is set up, your insurance is in place, your documents are ready, and you are ready to hit the ground running. You can use a board like a load board to actually post loads and manage your jobs. And because you are able to have software that really updates in real time, you can see available trucks and drivers the moment they post online and respond quickly, by the way. So the more hauling jobs you broker, the faster your business grows. So as you work with more satisfied customers on both sides of the industry, your ratings will definitely improve big time. And shippers and carriers also will they can also use software to vet and identify quality brokers, giving you an edge for growing your business this year. So this is really fantastic. So in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about how to start a freight brokerage. I gave you the facts, the process in terms of setting up and registering your business, but also conducting business, okay? And I give you the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.